Los Angeles is currently getting ravaged by wildfires with wind gusts up to 100 miles per hour and tens of thousands of citizens forced to evacuate. And the latest number, over 400,000 people are now without power with no let up in sight. Matt Himes is the managing editor for Align. He's one of those citizens that's affected, and he joins us now. So, Matt, first of all,
Hi.
our prayers are out for you and everybody that is affected by this right now in the greater Los Angeles area. But take us through what things are like on the ground right now and what you are seeing.
Well, first of all, I'm fairly fortunate. I'm writing this out. We've evacuated the Palisades. I'm in a friend's guest house in classic LA Cato Kalin fashion, and all of my family and I were all accounted for and comfortable. My in-laws' house in the Palisades burnt down. We're not sure about my house yet, but yeah, the devastation is surreal. We're used to fire threats, but we've never seen anything like this. The fire is cut straight through the heart of the town. The historic, there's a 100-year-old building where the Starbucks was, and some other that's been gutted. The local high school has burnt. I don't know if all of it's burnt down, but my Catholic church burnt down. Yeah, I mean, there are whole swaths of areas right near the town where there's just nothing. And these are all relatively modest houses, relatively close together. And, not up against a mountain or something. These are just kind of, looks like a regular suburban neighborhood.
Matt, I mean, one of the first indications I had that something was really going awry was yesterday. We had scheduled for you to come on the show to talk about something completely different, and you ended up having to evacuate and said, "Guys, I can't do this." Can you walk us through what the last 24 hours has been through? Like, how did this proceed for you guys?
Well, I was in the valley dropping off some Christmas decorations into storage, and I was heading back into the Palisades on Sunset. And around 10:30 in the morning, I saw a big plume of black smoke. Now, we're used to, like I said, we're used to these wildfires, but usually they're a bit more distant. This looked very close. So right away, I knew something was wrong. Then I got the call to pick up my son from the school, which is about a mile from where I live. And in the parking lot there, it was fairly chaotic. People looked, people were running. They looked really freaked out. And I was like, am I being too calm? I know that fire moves more quickly than people think, but people were grabbing their kids in a panic. I mean, the school kind of kept order and we got out of there. But I headed back to my place. I could barely get there because everyone was going the other way, already evacuating. So I just threw a few things in the car and headed out, and we were just stuck on Sunset for probably 2 hours, not even moving. And we finally made it down to the PCH. We threw a shortcut, and then we were fine. But I would say, traffic-wise, organizationally, the Palisades was fairly chaotic. I don't think they were ready to handle this. Up in the hills where the fire started, it's just one road that goes in and out, and people were panicking and abandoning their vehicles there, and it was blocking traffic for the fire department. And obviously this is very bad. It could have been much worse, and I almost see it as this. If something really bad happens, this should be a wake-up call because, we were not. It was very chaotic.
Well, Matt, what are they saying on the ground there? Because I haven't seen any of the reporting just for how the wind speeds are supposed to be for the next couple of days. What is the expectation for the next few days moving forward?
And again, a lot of what I'm getting is just from bits and pieces of conversation with people. It's fairly pessimistic. The winds are very bad. The fires, we're talking about the Palisades fire. That's the sort of main event, as it were. But we've got this huge fire, and that Peachy Keenan, in her area, Altadena, Pasadena area. That's I think that's as big as the fire over here. There's a number of different fires popping up, and I was just up on a ridge. I can't get into the Palisades where my house is. So I was up with my dogs and my son and my daughter on a ridge trying to get a good view, and I saw the planes coming in and dropping all of the fire retardant and whatnot. So they're able to fly again, which is good. They could not fly overnight apparently because the winds were too strong. But I don't know. I'm not really qualified to say. I mean, I'm trying to be optimistic and hopeful, but I think Los Angeles was really not prepared in general. I mean, well, you can read the articles, and the Karen Bass was in Ghana. The thing is, this happens. This always happens. We know this happens, and we knew it would be particularly bad this year. And I think I heard that Karen Bass got a warning just the day before, and she decided to go on the Africa trip anyway. And I'm already hearing people talk about climate change, but this is the failure of on a more micro level of forestry management, dealing with the homeless problem, funding for the fire department that was cut recently. So I don't know. I don't, not to politicize it, because this is, like I said, this is just a lot of regular people. The image of $15 million mansions burning on the beachfront mansions, that's probably happening, but there's a lot of just regular people. My in-laws bought their house in 1976, and he's a oceanography professor. She's a retired Latin teacher, and they raised 5 kids there. And since the 80s and the 70s, the neighborhood's really kind of exploded in popularity, but it still has that core of a small town kind of. There's a town barbershop that was been there for 40 years, and it's a very kind of any town USA feel. So people are pulling together, I hope, but yeah, everyone's pretty devastated.
Matt, I mean, as you sit here, and I'm sure there's a lot of others in your situation, you don't know yet, correct me if I'm wrong, whether or not your house survived, and you're thinking about this. Are there a few factors that really, of all the things you mentioned, that come to mind in terms of what you're focusing on, and like, why did this happen? I mean, not to politicize it, but it's like, why did this happen? This is a civilized society.
Yes.
We shouldn't have. We should be able to take care of fires and not have some of the, supposedly most well taken care of cities in the country, right, have this burned down.
Yeah.
So what was on the forefront of your mind?
Well, I'm hearing that there's no water in these hydrants. In some of these hydrants, there simply isn't water or the water pressure to put out any of these blazes. And that has to do with, filling the reservoirs and being prepared for this kind of situation. Also, I don't think we have enough firefighters. I haven't talked to any firefighters directly, but I hear people talking about it, and it just sounds like they're overwhelmed and doing what they can. But it looks like an apocalypse. I mean, they continue to work, and I think they're making progress. But I don't want to be one of these anti-woke people. But the fact of the matter is that we just 2 years ago we appointed a new fire chief. I don't know anything about her qualifications, but the main news story there was she's the first female and the first LGBTQ fire chief of LA, and when you look at her bio on the site, she's talking about her priorities. They're all about diversity and equity and inclusion, and that just seems to me like a very the wrong priorities when we have all these glaring inefficiencies right now that are hampering us from helping with this situation.
Well, Matt, we are very thankful that you are okay, and we will continue to pray for you and everybody that is affected right now with these devastating fires. Thanks so much for taking some time to join us today.
Thank you. God bless. Goodbye.
And Matt, when we look at it, there is a way to help. If everybody's out there saying, what can I do? Mercury One is already raising money right now. They are putting a team in place to get ready to go out there. So you can donate at mercury1.org. And then Blaze is going to be, Julio Rosas is already en route out there to cover it for Blaze News for the rest of the week.
Yeah, Julio gave me a call last night while I was watching the videos, and he's already there. He's on the ground. So we'll have more from him in the next few days, because this is not going to be over anytime soon. And
you were just telling me, like, this is your old neighborhood too. Like, you know a lot of these streets.
Yeah, so this really hit home for me when I was watching. If a lot of you in the audience probably saw all those people being taken out in the gurneys, the stretchers from that assisted senior care facility. And I used to walk by that all the time. We'd go hiking up in Eaton Canyon, which is where the fire is. It's the Eaton Canyon. That's where we would walk on the weekends with my kids. We go through that parking lot in that 7-Eleven if they were lucky to get a Slurpee there. And I'm watching all these people be pulled out. You know, the McDonald's across the street on fire. I mean, so many friends and people we know from that area. So watching it is surreal, not being there and seeing it. And I have to say, there's already I would say at least between 5 and 10 families that are, personal friends who have lost their homes from that Eaton fire. And it's no joke.